Have you ever walked into a room in your house and felt like it was talking back to you? Not in a haunted kind of way, but like the walls were whispering about everything that's ever happened there. Every argument, every laugh, every secret. And instead of feeling cozy or relaxed, you suddenly felt tired, like your brain got busy for no reason. That's not just mood. That's Feng Shui, and it's your home's way of saying, hey, this space is holding too many conversations at once. And guess what? When that happens, your energy flow and your wealth flow and start feeling jammed. Like too many voices in your head, and none of them are yours. See, every room carries stories. But when those stories never get cleared, when they pile up like echoes from the past, they start messing with your present, with your cash energy, your lucky rhythm, your ability to feel grounded and actually rest in your own home. And that's what we're uncovering in this video. We're going deep into familiar rooms that seem totally fine, but are secretly trapping your Feng Shui energy and holding your wealth and peace hostage. This is part of a whole journey. If you've seen mistake number 1, you know the vibe we're on. If you haven't, don't worry. You're right on time. If this kind of wisdom speaks to you, if you've ever felt like you're doing everything to stay afloat, and it still isn't flowing, thank you for being here. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, or even drop a comment below. It helps YouTube know you're part of this quiet shift. So let's walk into that room together. Let's see what it's really been holding. And more importantly, how to free it. Because when your home is in flow, your life follows. Ready? Let's start with the second trap. The room that holds too many conversations. There's always that one spot in the house we go back to. Not because it feels amazing, but because it's there, familiar, easy. And somewhere along the way, we forget to ask if it still feels good. In Feng Shui, the things we do on autopilot can quietly turn into energy anchors. And when the space we sit in the most starts holding us down, it doesn't just affect our comfort. It messes with our money, our lucky flow, and the way we show up for life. Susan always used the same chair. Every morning, every evening. It had the softest fabric, the right angle to the window, and just enough distance from the noise in the kitchen. It used to feel cozy. Now, it just felt full. She couldn't explain it at first, but every time she sat down lately, her mind got foggy. Her breath slowed not in a calm way, but in that, where did my energy go kind of way. The room wasn't loud, but it wasn't quiet either. It was holding things. And the chair? The chair looked fine, but something about it felt like emotional leftovers. In Feng Shui, wherever you sit the most becomes your energetic imprint zone. That's where your body downloads stress, thoughts, emotions, over and over again. If that chair has held you through worry, overthinking, silence, burnout, then that's exactly the frequency it starts echoing. When energy stays still too long in one place, it starts pulling your cash flow with it. You sit, you sink, and slowly, your motivation feels like it's running through syrup. If you sit where your stress sits, wealth doesn't flow in, it circles around and leaves. It's not the furniture, it's the history it holds. What Susan didn't see was this. The chair had become her unspoken inbox. That's where she processed hard moments, where she read client trauma stories, where she ignored her own pain, while just scrolling or just sipping tea. She kept returning to it, not because it made her feel strong, but because it was familiar to feel heavy. And when your resting spot becomes a holding zone, for everything you haven't said out loud, your lucky timing, your inspired decisions, and your money momentum start dragging behind like emotional luggage you forgot you packed. It's like wearing your favorite hoodie every day. At first, it's warm, comfortable, but one day you realize it smells like 3 moods, 2 meals, and that argument you had last Tuesday, suddenly it doesn't feel like comfort. It feels like residue. That was Susan's chair. Soft, dependable, but quietly soaked in old versions of herself. Your lucky timing needs clear air and clear space to land, not recycled weight. Her best friend Diane once laughed and said, "Girl, you don't need a life coach. You need to rotate that chair like it's a mattress." She wasn't wrong. Susan didn't hear this from a Feng Shui book. She heard it from an older lady at the Sunday market, who sold handmade candles and dried lavender. The woman said, "You sit there every day, huh? Then that chair remembers you. But does it remember the you want to be?" Later that night, Susan looked it up. Turns out there's a name for this: contextual emotional memory. Our brains link emotional states to physical locations. So if you feel drained in the same spot every day, your nervous system will anticipate fatigue before you even sit down. In Feng Shui, this is how money flow and mental clarity get tangled without you knowing. The chair doesn't steal your energy. It just holds it in the wrong direction. Here's what Susan did. No drama. No burning sage till the fire alarm went off. Just a small shift in 4 parts. She wiped the chair with warm water and lemon oil. Slid a small mirror under the seat, facing down to reflect old energy away. Lit a white candle nearby for 15 minutes each day for 3 days. On day 3, she rotated the chair 7 inches to the left, just enough to say, "This space has moved on." And it worked. It didn't shout, but something breathed. For the first time in months, she sat down and didn't feel like she had to hold herself together. Her son walked in later and raised an eyebrow. "You moved the chair?" Susan smiled. "Yeah. Turns out even chairs need a new point of view sometimes." He shrugged, grabbed a soda, and walked off. But inside her, lighter, clearer, like her energy stopped running in circles and started finding direction again. Sometimes, the place we sit to rest is the very place we need to release. Some rooms are loud, even when no one's speaking. They don't shout. They hum, they buzz, they remember. In Feng Shui, rooms that host too many moments, too many roles, too many emotions, can get energetically congested. And when energy congestion builds quietly over time, it doesn't just mess with your mood. It slows your wealth flow, muddles your clarity, and turns everyday spaces into silent stress loops. Susan had always loved her living room. It had soft light in the afternoon, a comfy couch, and walls painted that cozy oatmeal color people on Pinterest swear by. But the room had started feeling scrambled, not cluttered, just energetically scrambled. One moment, it felt like a therapy office. The next, like a teenager's game zone. Then a grief chamber. Then a Zoom stage. Then a place to rest. Except rest never actually landed. The room wasn't loud, but it wasn't quiet either. It was holding things. Some days, Susan would walk in, sit for 5 minutes, and feel the same tension, as if she had just left a stressful meeting. Except she hadn't gone anywhere. That was the problem. Everything had come to her and stayed. In Feng Shui, every conversation, every emotional exchange leaves behind a signature. And when one room becomes the center of all activities, therapy, parenting, grieving, laughing, fixing, waiting, it begins to layer energy like sediment. At some point, the space can't breathe. It holds too many identities. And in that pileup, nothing flows well. Not your luck, not your money, not your mind. When energy doesn't know what a space is meant for, it stops cooperating. It stops helping you. When flow breaks, wealth starts missing the signal. Susan's living room had become an energetic freeway with no traffic signs. Everything kept driving through, but nothing knew where to go. She had turned the room into what she thought was practical, multi-purpose, efficient, loving. But in truth, it had become a container for every version of her life she didn't know how to separate. The chair still carried client grief. The corner shelf held dusty gifts from her ex-mother-in-law. The coffee table had scratches from her son's old Legos. Even the candle scent reminded her of nights she stayed up, pretending she wasn't crying. There wasn't one big story, just 1,000 small ones, still hanging around without closure. And when your space keeps talking, you stop knowing what your own voice sounds like. Your energy gets tangled. Your money flow starts wandering. Your luck doesn't leave. It just sits, confused, like a guest waiting for the host to show up. It's like a group chat with too many people. Everyone's talking. No one's listening. And by the end of it, you don't know who said what. Just that you're exhausted and weirdly annoyed. That was Susan's living room. An emotional group chat with throw pillows. One day, her friend Diane walked in and said, "This room's got more vibes than a Whole Foods essential oil aisle." They both laughed. But Susan knew she didn't feel good in that room anymore. And that wasn't funny. Later that week, Susan watched a video from a home energy coach. Not a Feng Shui master, just a chill lady from Asheville who talked about conversation clutter. She explained how the brain responds to mixed-use spaces by subtly staying on guard. You walk into a room that holds too many functions, and your system doesn't know whether to relax, focus, protect, or perform. And if your nervous system is never sure what to do, your energy doesn't settle. It hovers, which means your money flow doesn't land. Your creativity waits in the hallway, and your lucky timing starts running late. Your space becomes background static, and static never attracts wealth. It just loops itself. Susan didn't redesign the room. She redefined it. Here's what she tried. Feel free to borrow. Zone by energy, not furniture. She placed a small ceramic bowl of salt in the therapy corner to absorb residue, and added a tiny wind chime near the window to break the holding pattern energy. Each corner got one item that told a clear story. A plant for growth, a crystal for clarity, a candle for peace, a photo that made her genuinely smile. She cleared the shelf of items she hadn't touched in a year, said thank you, let them go, and most importantly, she started using the room for one thing at a time, not 5, because when a space has one clear role, energy knows how to help. And when energy helps, cash moves easier. Luck finds the doorbell. That evening, her son flopped on the couch and said, "Did you change something? It feels different in here." Susan smiled. "Nope. I just stopped letting this room talk over me." And that was the shift. Small, quiet, but it opened space for her own voice to come through again. When a space holds too many stories, it stops helping you live your own. Not all darkness is about what's missing. Sometimes it's the wrong kind of light that makes a room feel off. In Feng Shui, light is direction. It tells energy where to go and tells your body what to feel. When lighting goes wrong, your space might still look fine, but your energy starts running in the wrong lane. And when that happens, cash flow, clarity, and lucky rhythm all start slowing down quietly. Susan thought she was doing it right. Soft bulbs, warm tones, no harsh overhead glare. Just cozy lighting, the kind people pin on mood boards, next to herbal tea and a fuzzy blanket. But lately, something felt dull. Not sad, not bad, just slow. She'd sit on the couch at night, and her brain felt like it was wrapped in a wool sweater. Safe, yes, but also a little too quiet. It used to feel cozy. Now it just felt slow. The light didn't feel warm anymore. It felt sleepy. Tasks dragged. Ideas got foggy. And her energy? It hovered instead of landing. In Feng Shui, light is movement in form. It's the way energy travels through space. Not just physically, but emotionally. When light stays too soft for too long, your nervous system stops receiving cues to act. Instead of clarity, you get pause. Instead of flow, you get fog. When energy stays still too long in one place, it starts pulling your cash flow with it. Warm light all day might look calm, but it can turn your space into a padded cell for your energy. Not stuck, just stalled. And when that stalling gets normalized, you stop reaching. You start coasting. And without realizing it, wealth doesn't show up because it doesn't feel invited. Soft light made Susan feel safe. And for years, that's all she wanted. Safe days, safe spaces, safe choices. No overwhelm, no overexposure. But in that gentleness, she stopped activating. The light didn't push her toward anything. It just whispered, "You're fine here. Don't move." The room wasn't dark, but it felt like it didn't believe in brightness anymore. She had created a cocoon, but forgot that cocoons are meant to open. And when the space you live in starts mirroring your fear of expansion, your money, your luck, your timing, they all wait outside, wondering when you'll turn the light on. It's like putting on pajamas at 4 p.m. Comfy? Of course. But after a few days, you start asking yourself, when exactly did I stop chasing my goals? That was Susan's living room. A pajama party for her potential. Cozy lighting's great until you start confusing it with a personality. Diane strikes again. They laughed, but it hit a little real. If you sit where your stress sits, wealth doesn't flow in. It circles around and leaves. Susan came across a short post from a home therapist online. Your brain follows light, not logic. That line stuck. Turns out, when your space runs only on soft yellow tones, especially during daytime hours, your brain gets mixed signals. Do we focus? Do we sleep? Do we zone out? That confusion becomes your background operating system. In Feng Shui terms, light guides the flow. And if the flow is sleepy, so is your cash stream, your motivation, and your decision-making. Your lucky timing needs clear air and clear space to land, not recycled weight. Susan didn't flip her whole setup. She fine-tuned it. Fix number 1, add a wake-up light. One daylight-balanced LED near her reading chair. Cool, white, angled up so energy rises. And fix number 2, time her warmth. Soft amber lamps stay off until 8 p.m. Daytime lighting now mimics outdoor rhythm. Fix number 3, call in flow. Tiny coin charm tucked under the lampshade. To remind herself, turn on light, turn on wealth. After a week, she didn't just feel more alert. She started writing again, planning things, making small money moves that felt like her again. The room didn't change who she was. It stopped holding her back from it. The barista at her local cafe asked why she looked so awake lately. Susan just laughed. I changed a light bulb. He blinked. Oh, okay. But inside, she knew. That one little bulb pulled her out of autopilot and back into direction. If you're still here, chances are this is hitting a little close to home. If it is, give it a like or a little heart emoji in the comments. Helps more folks find their way to this kind of calm. Light that calms the eyes can still cloud the mind. Some things don't make noise, but you still hear them. Every time you walk by, in Feng Shui, even quiet objects hold vibration. Especially the ones you forget, avoid, or mean to deal with later. And when you leave a shelf full of forgotten things, you also leave energy parked in neutral, blocking money, dulling luck, and draining clarity without lifting a finger. Susan's shelf was never meant to be permanent. Just a small corner piece tucked behind the armchair, barely visible, barely touched. At first it held practical stuff, a bowl of keys, a box of tissues. Then, slowly, things piled. A gift bag from 2 birthdays ago, a photo in a broken frame, a candle with no wick left, an unopened envelope from the insurance company. It didn't scream mess. It whispered unfinished. The room wasn't cluttered, but it felt like it had leftovers. Everything looked in place, but something always felt a little off balance. Every time Susan passed it, she'd feel a small drop in energy, so small she almost missed it. But it was always there. In Feng Shui, stagnant objects create stagnant energy. Not because they're ugly or broken, but because they hold no clear purpose. When a shelf becomes a landing pad for random things, it stops being a container and starts being an anchor. When energy stays still too long in one place, it starts pulling your cash flow with it. You don't just block motion, you block attention. You lose subtle clarity, and with it, the chance to recognize wealth when it tries to enter. Feng Shui isn't about what you own. It's about what your space is still holding long after its meaning is gone. That shelf held more than items. It held unresolved timelines. The gift bag was from a friend she no longer spoke to. The photo was a happy memory framed inside a crack. The candle was from a meditation session. She never finished because she got interrupted, and then never came back. None of it was tragic. None of it screamed for attention. But together, they created a background frequency of pause. And when your space is filled with paused emotions, money pauses too. Energy waits at the door. Lucky Flo gets nervous and finds another house. It's like having 30 browser tabs open, but you're only using 2. Still, the others are slowing your system, draining your focus, pulling power in ways you can't even feel until you crash. That shelf? Susan's energetic browser overload. That corner's not decor, that's just indecision in 3D. Diane again, sipping oat milk like a truth bomb. If you sit where your stress sits, wealth doesn't flow in. It circles around and leaves. Susan didn't Google anything this time. She felt it. Every time she walked by that shelf, she'd flinch ever so slightly, like her brain knew she forgot something, but couldn't remember what. Turns out, that's real. Neuroscience calls it object-linked memory recall. Your subconscious stays on alert around unfinished tasks or unresolved symbols, which means you're using mental energy just by being in the room. In Feng Shui, that shelf is a money leak. That doesn't even need electricity to drain you. Here's what Susan did. Not a declutter marathon, just one shelf shift. Step 1, name or release. Each item had to either earn its place or leave. She gave 10 minutes, no overthinking. Step 2, add intention. Placed a small mirror tray to hold only what reflected her current life. Keys, a gratitude card, and a tiny crystal for clarity. Step 3, activate the flow. Added a folded $1 bill under the shelf facing outward. It wasn't for superstition. It was a signal. Money lives here now. Nothing old gets to block it. Within days, Susan noticed that she no longer detoured around that part of the room. She walked through. She breathed deeper. And, randomly, she got 3 client inquiries that week, without doing any outreach. Coincidence? Maybe. But energy knows when it's been unblocked. Her son asked where the gift bag went. She shrugged. It served its time. It retired. He nodded. Cool. That shelf was kinda weird anyway. She smiled. Yeah, it was weird. And now? It was quiet. The right kind of quiet. What you leave sitting in silence still speaks to your energy. Some routines are helpful. Others are just haunted. They no longer serve you, but they keep showing up. On schedule. In Feng Shui, when your daily habits follow the shape of an old version of you, you start living on energetic reruns. And every time that plays out, your money flow, mental clarity, and luck slow down quietly, deeply, and without permission. Susan had a rhythm. Same coffee mug. Same window seat. Same journaling spot every morning, 7:15 a.m. It used to feel grounding. Then it just started feeling empty. Not in a sad way. Just dry. Like she was showing up to a routine that forgot to grow with her. It wasn't bad, but it felt like brushing teeth with no toothpaste. The air felt flat, like a show she'd already watched too many times. It wasn't burnout. It was energetic echo. And it started making her whole house feel like it was running in circles. In Feng Shui, energy follows behavior. And if your behavior follows a pattern that no longer reflects your goals, then your energy gets stuck in yesterday. When energy stays still too long in one place, it starts pulling your cash flow with it. Every repeated movement becomes a signal. Hold this, repeat this, protect this. But what if this is no longer where your wealth wants to go? Susan's daily habits were looping around her past self. The one who was tired, careful, on pause. And when your house mirrors a version of you that no longer exists, your money flow, lucky timing, and expansion get trapped in your own shadow. At some point, Susan stopped asking if her habits were helping. She just did them. Same chair, same notebook, same silence. Even though her heart had moved on, and her mind needed different fuel. But her home didn't know that, because she kept acting like nothing had changed. And when your body performs routines from an older version of your life, your energy holds that version in place. Even if your soul already moved forward, if you sit where your stress sits, wealth doesn't flow in. It circles around and leaves. It's like replying to an email you already answered, over and over again, just because it's in the inbox. That was Susan's life on autopilot. Habit for habit's sake. No joy. No clarity. No wealth movement. If Groundhog Day had less drama and more herbal tea, this would be it. Diane, as always. Susan didn't find this in a Feng Shui blog. She noticed it one random Wednesday, when she forgot to journal, and nothing bad happened. In fact, the morning felt a little brighter, lighter, like her energy had finally gotten permission to move. Turns out, neural pathways love repetition, but they also tune out when overstimulated by routine. No novelty? No spark. In Feng Shui terms, routine without purpose creates energetic dust. And dust dulls your luck, your money signal, and your capacity to receive. Susan didn't throw away her morning ritual. She reimagined it. Here's what she shifted. Switched locations. Moved her morning seat to the back porch. New light, new air, new direction. Upgraded tools. Got a new notebook, new pen, and wrote one money-focused intention daily. Changed order. Instead of journaling first, she moved her body first. 5 minutes of breath, then words. Placed a folded $2 bill inside her journal cover. To remind myself, this routine now serves future wealth, not past wounds. The next week, Susan got asked to speak at a retreat. Same topic she journaled about for years, but never thought anyone would care. She took a sip of tea, smiled to herself, and whispered, "Guess this version of me gets sunlight." And that morning felt different. Alive. Not because of what she did, but because of what she let go of. Old routines protect old versions of us, but they don't always pay rent in the now. Not every shift starts big. Sometimes it's one chair, one shelf. One morning you decide to sit somewhere new. That's how energy begins to move again. Because the rooms we live in are always listening and always reflecting us back. In Feng Shui, it's not about fixing what's wrong. It's about releasing what's no longer right for you. If something from Susan's story felt familiar, trust that. That quiet nudge you feel right now, it's not small. It's momentum. It's your space saying, "I'm ready when you are." Every room holds something. Sometimes what it holds is us. If this brought clarity, send it forward. Like, comment, or just share the quiet. Your space speaks. Wisdom listens.